Greetings all. My name is Jessica, and today I am going to talk about a tool that's used a lot in social work. It is known as the ACE questionnaire. ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, and I am bringing this up to not only talk about that, but also to bring up that childhood trauma don't hit everybody the same, especially not Black folks, disabled folks, queer folks. We carry heavy stuff from a young age. And I'm doing this presentation so we can hash it out, so we can talk about it. Intro. So, ACE is basically 10 questions asking if you went through certain kinds of trauma before you turned 18. Stuff like getting yelled at, hit, being around addiction, going through neglect, all of that. And why do we care? Because these things affect your body, your mind, and how you move through life. Social workers, we use this tool in schools, hospitals, clinics, everywhere. In short, it's free and it opens up bigger convos about how to support folks who've been through it. But one thing we got to keep in mind is that this tool was made for mostly white middle class folks. So when we talk about using it in our communities, we got to be real careful. This tool was made back in the late 90s by the CDC. At first, they just wanted to study how childhood trauma impacts health in adults, and what they found was out of this world. People with high ACE scores have a higher rate of heart disease, drug use, anxiety, and the original version was not changed since it came out. However, Pearls is one that is used more often with kids. The original ACE is free, so folks can use it in community settings. And that's a good thing, being able to use a tool in community settings. Research. Now, when we talk about research, this tool has been studied a lot. There have been over 70 peer-reviewed studies analyzing the reliability of ACE. And the science behind it is solid. It's been proven to be reliable and valid, which basically means folks who take it usually give the same answers each time. And in addition to that, the score tells you something about their real life experience. But let me be clear, it don't diagnose anything. It don't say you got PTSD or you depressed. It just tells you that you've been through some things, and these things make those outcomes more likely. So it's a starting point, not an end all be all. Application. The ACE tool got 10 questions, and each yes you answer means 1 point. So the scores go to 0 to 10. A higher score means more trauma in childhood, and it usually means that you are more at risk for depression, anxiety, even stuff like high blood pressure, diabetes, or even worse, a stroke. Yeah. Childhood trauma don't just live in your mind, it gets stored in your body. But what don't it ask? It don't ask if you've ever dealt with racism or if you grew up poor or if you was queer in a family that ain't accept you. So we gotta remember that a low ACE score don't mean that you've been through hell. So defining evaluation. So what's good and what's not about this tool? First off, it's simple. It takes about 5 minutes to fill out. It's free. Anybody can use it. And it opens the door to real conversations. But what's missing? A whole lot. It doesn't ask about systems. It doesn't ask if you ever deal with police brutality or got bullied for being trans or went through medical trauma as a disabled person. Also, it don't talk about how often things happened or how severe these things were. And ethically, you can't just hand somebody a trauma screener and not be ready to support them after. Like, if you're going to ask about someone's pain, you better have a plan for how to hold them after they tell you. Now, this part is very personal because when you're disabled, when you're queer, when you're black or brown, you don't just got aces from your household. You got aces from the whole system. Schools that suspend you for being neurodivergent, doctors that don't believe you when you're in pain, police that treat your autism like aggression. Yeah, the ACE tool matters, but it's not complete. You got to use it with love. You got to use it with care. You got to use it with contact. I always say, don't just use the tool, be the support. These are some of the resources I have. I use the CDC website to access the ACE questionnaire. And these are some of the articles I pulled information from. And as far as training, no license is needed, but trauma-informed training is recommended. And if you all want to read more about this, pretty please check out the ACE uh, document, and this can be found on the CDC website. And I also recommend looking into these folks as well, who have supreme knowledge on trauma in communities of color and the ways in which these communities are impacted by it. Discussion questions. So my discussion questions are: what types of trauma might the ACE questionnaire miss? How can we ethically use this tool with clients who are actively in crisis? And how can we adapt the screening for communities facing systemic trauma? So thank you all for listening. I know it's heavy, but this work matters. I truly believe that we can recognize people's trauma and we don't have to pathologize them. Instead, we can honor their survival. The ACE tool ain't perfect, but it gives us a place to start. And if y'all remember nothing else, remember this: when you work with someone with trauma, you hold their story like it's sacred. because it is. Thank you.